What's up, everyone, and welcome to Everything Guitar. This is a weekly deep dive into the world of all things guitar related. I am Ben France, your host of this series, and I'd like to welcome you to the channel. And if you are a first-time viewer, welcome to this particular episode. This is episode 13 of Everything Guitar. If you are new to the channel and or the series, feel free to go ahead and click the subscribe button down below and maybe ring the bell for notifications so you can be notified when new episodes come out. And you might also want to give me a thumbs up if you find this video to be helpful, useful, entertaining, any or all of the above. So let's go ahead and dive into episode 13, starting with the news. All right, starting out this week on the news, I wanted to talk about some very exciting news. Joe Satriani, that shredder and master of the guitar extraordinaire, has recently announced that he is releasing what are called, I believe it was naked tracks, or let me look it up here, I apologize, stripped ×3 tracks. So let's jump over to the screen, we'll look at the press release on Guitar World, and we'll jump over to Joe's page directly to check out a little bit of information on it. So we'll see over here on this screen that it shows that the headline says, watch Steve Vai, Bumblefoot, Sammy Hagar, and more improvise over Joe Satriani backing tracks. Satch invites everyone to shred over his official album backing tracks with the new Stripped ×3 compilation. Want to play electric guitar like Joe Satriani? Good luck with that, but now at least you can try, or better yet, just be yourself over some Satch-approved backing tracks. How can you do this, you ask? With Satriani's new Stripped ×3, a collection of backing tracks comprised of the full track listings of 3 Satch albums, Black Swans and Wormhole Wizards, Is There Love in Space, and the recent Shapeshifting. Steve Vai, Phil Collins, Sammy Hagar, Bumblefoot, LARI, BASILIO, and more have already jammed over some of the tracks, as you can see above. So we'll go ahead and we'll restart this video and check it out here just so you can see the little short 45-second video, and then we'll jump over to Joe's page. And I'm going to pause it for just a second. You'll notice up there on the top of the screen it says pre-order your USB. Actually, I think I jumped just a little bit ahead, unfortunately, to where that's not showing. But we'll talk more about that in a minute. So back to the playing. So there you go, there's the promo of that. Pretty cool playing by some of those incredibly talented players. We'll jump over to Joe's page now on the screen, where we'll see it has the information. And I went directly to the link listed through the Guitar World link. That was right down here where it says you can pre-order Stripped ×3 now with anticipated delivery in November. So jumping over there, you'll see it's very cool. It actually comes on a thumb drive USB that is shaped and looks like one of Joe's signature guitars and has kind of a quote-unquote guitar case that it comes in. So $45 is the pre-sale. It says audio files will be provided in 44.1 16-bit WAV and also MP3 320 kilobyte format as well. $45 during the month of September. The price will then go up to $50 after that. So pretty cool stuff. If you've ever wanted to challenge yourself or wonder what it would be like to play over something that one of the greats like Joe Satriani has written, now is your chance. So jump through the link down below in the description of the video and you can check that out for yourself. This week for the mini guitar lesson, I thought we would look a little bit into alternate tunings. The past several weeks we've been looking at different chord forms and chord shapes. If you want to jump back through the previous episodes, most recently episode 12 up here, you'll see last week that we learned ninth chords, major and minor ninth chords, and how to construct those and how to use those. So we're taking a brief break from our chord exploration this week after several weeks of that to talk about alternate tunings, just to change things up a little bit. Now, there are several different alternate tunings that you can set a guitar to for a variety of different things. As I'm sure you know, your standard guitar tuning, low to high, is typically going to be E, A, D, G, B, and E. So the first tuning we're going to look at today, which is one of the most common ones for an alternate tuning, is what's called dad-gad. So as you may have guessed there from the name, that means that the notes are D-A-D, G-A-D, or dad-gad. That goes low to high as well. So starting with the 6th string, the thickest string, you're going to have a D, so it's tuned down 1 whole step or 2 frets from where it originally is. Sound like that. The next one's going to be A, which is a standard tuning, your A string for string number 5. D for string number 4, which is also standard tuning. G for string number 3, which is standard tuning. Now, this is where things change up again. Normally, string number 2 is a B, but in this case, it's tuned down a whole step as well to A. And string number 1, which is normally a high E string, is tuned down a whole step to D. So played together, that gives you this tonality, which by itself is a pretty nice sound. Now, what can you do with alternate tunings? Well, it gives you a lot of different opportunities as far as different tonalities, different sounds playing standard chord forms. So, for instance, typically an E chord, as we've learned or a D chord, pardon me, as we learned, I believe, way back in maybe episode 3 of Everything Guitar, is played like this. It's usually played with your open 4th string, your 2nd fret on your 3rd string, your 3rd fret on your 2nd string, and your 2nd fret on your 1st string. And then that gives you D, A, D, and F sharp. That is the triad that makes up D major, which is D, F sharp, and then A. That is your root, your 3rd, and your 5th. However, we're playing in dad-gad, so what that means is some of those notes are going to change. Obviously, string number 4 is still going to be a D, as we already discussed. String number 3 is still going to be an A, your 5th, because it's that G string. And we're playing the 2nd fret, so a step higher, which is an A. Now this is where things change. String number 2, fret 3, would normally be a D, but in this case it is a C, because remember we're tuned down 1 whole step, or 2 frets. And then string number 1, this would normally be an F sharp, but in this case it's an E, because once again we're tuned down a whole step. So that sounds like this. Or if you lift off that E note, that 1st string to open, you get something that sounds like this, because you get an octave D, another high D. So probably the question becomes then, well, how would you play a standard D chord if you're tuned in dad-gad? Well, if you wanted to do that for some reason, what you could do is you would still play open 4th string. You would use your 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. You would jump all the way up using your pinky on the 5th fret of the 2nd string. And you would use your ring finger on the 4th fret of the 1st string. So that would be your standard D major chord in dad-gad tuning. Or if you lower that ring finger down to the middle finger on the 3rd fret of string 1, it'd be your D minor chord. Or we could go on down from there. But that's not really the fun part of something like dad-gad. The fun part is you've got different tuning opportunities, or different fingering opportunities. So your standard D chord, instead of being the notes we talked about previously, it becomes D, A, C, and then open gives us a D again. So we can move that form around. Or if you wanted to play it like a standard D major with your 2nd fret on the 1st string, you can also move that around. Another really cool form that you can use that I use a lot playing in dad-gad is you can stack fingers on the same fret. So, for instance, you could play something like what we were just playing with that C note there on the 2nd string, 3rd fret. If you take your middle finger and you put that on the 3rd fret on the 4th string, that gives you an F. So then you have an F, a G, a C, and a D. So that gives you a really interesting sounding chord like this, which you can then slide that form up, slide it up again. You can also get a very interesting sounding chord there using your C as your bass, so putting your 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the 5th string your middle finger, your ring finger, 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and playing everything else open. Or you can put that note for your D, your A in there as well. The nice thing about dadgad is you have so many repeating tones, since you've got a D here, you have a D here, and you have a D here, you have an A here, you have an A here, and then you have that G in the middle, that you can do a lot of moving around, and you're not going to run into nearly as much of an out of key or very, very dissonant sounding chord, because you've got so many repeating notes. So even if we go down onto the G string, or onto the, the low string, what would normally be a G, in this case is an F, and we play that C up on our 2nd string again, 3rd fret, we get something like that. We slide it up 2 frets to the 5th fret, we get that. That one's a little bit of a stretch. There's another interesting shape you can play in dadgad. You can play your standard power chord shape, root 5th on your 2 middle strings, and then play a fret higher with your pinky on the 2nd string. Do the same thing, a string lower on your standard power chord form. What would be root 5 octave normally, and you get... a very different tone with that D string and that D string, and A string ringing out because of the tuning. So there you go, dadgad tuning. I'd recommend that you all dive into that a little bit just to explore some different opportunities. So that is it for Everything Guitar episode 13. A little bit shorter episode this week, but hopefully you still had some useful content for you and some things that you can gain, some knowledge you can learn out of this. Once again, if you did find this to be useful, helpful, entertaining, fun, funny, any or all of the above, feel free to give me a thumbs up on the video. And make sure to click the subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. In addition to Everything Guitar that I do every week, I also post a number of other pieces of musical content, including some original compositions that I write both on the guitar and on other instrumentation as well. And I am going to have some very cool gear reviews coming up on some very, very cool, unusual vintage guitar gear. Let me just say as a preview some of the sounds that you're hearing on this guitar right now. That real underwatery sound. That's coming from a piece of gear that very well may be older than some of you watching this clip right now. So make sure to tune back in and check out and learn a little bit more about what that is. Hope you all are doing well out there. I hope you have a great week, and I look forward to seeing you again next week on Everything Guitar. Take care. Bye.